Muppets are, this is the first time seeing a Muppets movie. It's not. It doesn't feel like they have made a movie where they don't know what to do with the Muppets, so they just apply some story to it, like Treasure Island, just for, so they have a setting. That doesn't feel very natural. This feels probably like one of the most natural Muppet movies, in a long time, probably since maybe the Great Muppet Caper.
I was going to say, it's probably the third best Muppet movie for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, whatever that is worth, because, a lot of them haven't been that great. But I mean, and the humor of the Muppets themselves, it's there. Yeah, some of it is rehashed because, they're singing Mana again. And, of course, at the end of the movie, Kermit has to come out and sing the Rainbow Connection, which does not, I repeat, does not have the same impact that it has, especially in the first Muppet movie. But I love how the Muppets, to see them get back together and have that classic chemistry that they do was great for me, man. I really love that. And whoever does Kermit's voice, and I should know this, but I don't, but whoever is doing Kermit's voice this time around does it spot on. There's been times where Kermit was not able to sound like the late Jim Henson.
It's the same guy.
Steve Whitmire.
It's the same guy that's been doing it since Jim Henson died.
Okay, well, he's perfected it then.
Maybe with the last one, he had a frog in his throat.
No.
My job. Get out.
I know. I was like, somebody put a frog in your throat right now.
You forgot to say waka waka.
I know. Somebody put a frog dick in your throat right now. So you don't tell any more jokes like that.
Now you're trying to be my toady? What is this?
But yeah, I mean,
asked for that.
I did.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just conclude by, just by saying that aside from Disney's small bits of heavy-handed marketing that I mentioned and adults just being swept up by the nostalgia of the Muppets more than the film itself, I think that's okay. But at the same time, I also think that the filmmakers have been swept up by a certain nostalgia while making this movie, and it doesn't always work. Sometimes it feels more like, look at this Muppet right here, or remember this Muppet movie part that we're bringing back. But at the same time, as I said, it's something that I think is simple and sweet, like we want a lot of children's movies to be today, for all its faults. And for kids who are being exposed to something a lot simpler and sweet, I think that that's great. Doesn't make for a great movie, makes for a great introduction, though. So I'm going to give this a matinee.
I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with a new piece of entertainment that functions a lot on nostalgia and the fact that it's such a huge name and has such a history that people are already familiar with it. And we've certainly seen lots of other things that have done that. And I think on that note, the Muppets actually handles itself pretty well. It's just that a lot of the other stuff is a little ham-handed and awkward. So to say, someone who has absolutely zero familiarity with the Muppets in any sort of affectionate way is probably going to walk out of this going, yeah, okay, I don't see what the big deal was. But like you said, Corey, someone like you and me who grew up really watching the Muppet Show every single night it came on, super excited for the new episode, who's owned a lot of the puppets. Like I say owned in the past tense, like you don't still have
I used to be owned in the way that you were wrestling naked and you dominated and then you got to fuck them out.
Yeah. rubbing your genitalias against your Muppet toys.
Owned. Yeah. But, I think that there's a lot to be said for people who do have that history watching this film. I think they do the nostalgia thing really damn well most of the time. I did not mind seeing those comebacks, although I will agree with you that trying to make your big emotional song at the end, the Rainbow Connection, is probably just a bad idea when it was so effectively done in that case in the original Muppet movie. But can't blame a film company for trying. All I can hope is that in the next film, now they've introduced them back to us, we can just focus on the actual Muppets. We don't need a new character or, for God's sakes, Jason Segel's puffy face running around smiling so hard I wanted to smack him. Even so, I think this is a solid matinee film. I mean, I wish it could have been more. There were points I was angry at mistakes they made along the way just because this should have been a full-price movie. But what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's funny because watch this movie there. I kept thinking back to that British movie, Still Crazy. That whole, another one of those, we got to get the old band back together movies. And I kept thinking about how, when that movie started, I was like, I get sick of these get the band back together movies. They always end up trying to be too sweet. And yet with that one, over time, it eventually won me over because I got to really know each of the characters and get invested in them. And with this, even though I knew the Muppets from before, I never felt that sense of investment. It was like there was too many characters going on, not to mention Walter and Jason Segel and Amy Adams, for me to really get to know anybody and care what happened. I felt like it was just going through the motions of like, well, we got to give this person some time and this some time. Almost all the gags fell flat to me, or if one did work, then they repeat it, so then it managed to fall flat. The only thing I really end up liking that I genuinely liked was Chris Cooper, because that's a guy, every movie he's in, I come back to realizing how much I love that guy. And when he rapped in this, like the last thing I would have expected, and that actually cracked me up.
That rap was funny, and I thought it was going to be uncomfortable. And the way they ended it, that was one of the more genius moments of timing in a Muppet movie. Like the way that closure on that rap scene sealed it right there.
Well, it worked because he committed to it.
Right. And it worked because the movie knew that it was awkward and made that the joke. Like everyone's going, "What the fuck?"
But everything else, it just like from a promising beginning, it just kind of wore on me. Jason Segel, he's actually a bad actor. I just like looking at his face. I'm like, wow, he's not carrying his expressions. The songs, I don't know. I didn't really dig the song. I mean, the 2 or 3 songs I thought were okay, and yet none were catchy. And the dance numbers weren't very complicated, and he was even lead-footed in every one of those. So I don't know. I don't have that same nostalgic love of the Muppets. So for me, it was just a rental.
Yeah, I have to. I'm going to give it a matinee, only because there's a reason why the Muppets never let their guest stars take over the show, because there's a good chance it would end up like this movie. And the moment I noticed the Jason Segel Muppet that they actually made for this movie, I was like, you know what, this movie was made solely so he can have this moment here. Right? I mean, and that is it. It seemed like watching it, it's like, wow, the Muppets did kind of feel like an afterthought in a way. If he's in love with it, all right, but there's times when you realize, sometimes people who are in love with things shouldn't make movies about it. They should just talk about it, or have a podcast about it.
I got the exact same feeling.
But I have to admit, when the Muppets were on the screen solely alone, I mean, it was a Muppet movie, and it made me feel good that wow, these guys, they do have magic. They have presence on the screen. It's not the same magic that I thought Jim Henson used to bring, when he used to voice Kermit. But they almost got it for me. And I have to admit that at times it was enjoyable to watch. But like I said, with this Walter character, that guy, he did not fucking pay his dues. And I just can't buy this fucking character all of a sudden being the one that, they're holding him going, yes, 3 cheers for Walter. No, fuck Walter, all right? That guy must be fucking related to Mickey Mouse or something. I'm sorry. But, that's hopefully next go around, they'll forget about the two characters they introduced, and it'll be a Muppet movie, and I hope it doesn't turn into Muppets in space or nothing like that.
Don't talk too much shit about Walter. He's the puppet who knocks.
I challenge that motherfucker. You know what? Honestly, they introduced another character in this movie that we forgot to mention, and that was Retrobot.
Right.
He was 80s bot. It was 80s bot. I thought he had more personality being a fucking robot referencing the 80s than Jason Segel and Walter.
Yeah,
did.
I wish they had used that character more.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of him, and I'm like, wow, it's like somebody wrote all the best lines for him, but it's still a solid matinee. I think fans of the Muppets are gonna really love it. I think casual fans like myself, they're just gonna go, oh, it's good. It's good to see the Muppets back on the big screen.
It's weird though, seeing all those cameos once again, which does stick in my craw, just how poorly chosen they were and handled throughout. It's like I realize that most of the original guest hosts of the Muppet Show are dead now because they were old when they were on it. But come on, Ozzy Osbourne's still around,
Yeah.
They got all the celebrity guests that VH1 didn't want.
yeah, exactly. If they make another Muppet movie, I tell you who I want to see in that film. I tell you what I want that movie to be about. I want it to be about the Muppets. The asshole Muppets.
They did make it. It's called the Meet the Feebles.
I was going to say that is something else I liked about the movie was the Muppets.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to leave so quick.
I know. You got that one Muppet that looks like Vanilla Ice and that other, like that pig that looks like Howard Stern and drag,
I love the mean Fozzie going, waka, waka.
That pig though, this told the show. I couldn't tell. I was like, is this like a transgender pig or something? It's like, hey, what are you looking at?
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I told you I'd be back.
You know what, Coles? When I heard him do that, I was thinking, he looks and sounds so much like Adam Sandler. Coles is laughing at that so hard right now.
I'm shocked I forgot about him.
Yeah. And you know what? There were some things that, I want to mention this because I forgot to mention this actually. And Leon, you said that, you weren't fond of the musical numbers. I actually thought that opening musical number was great. Life is a Happy Song. And Jason Segel knows, it's like Cyrus said, he knows that he's not supposed to be able to dance or sing. That's why he's kind of making fun of himself doing that. The songs are supposed to be kind of making fun of themselves. But I thought that was genuinely a really good song, and that's what gave me hope for the movie. But later on, we got into scenes that didn't work, again, for the sake of introducing a cameo, like Jack Black. When they went to go save Animal from the methadone clinic, and I was like, that doesn't.
You mean anger management?
No, I mean methadone clinic. They say anger management, but but look at that fool. He's on meth or something.
He was based on Keith Moon, to be fair.
Exactly. Thank you. he fucking high as a motherfucker, man.
But maybe you don't need the whole world to love you. Maybe you just need one person.
Oh, Connie.
And I don't care what anybody says. I believe in you. And you.
You think we should have rented a bigger car?
The Muppets.